Hello YouTube, this is Bash, bringing you a new league I joined recently called the Remnants, which is the first season of it since it was renamed and kind of did done by the original league was called EBT and they switched it over to Remnants this season to make it this first season of Remnants. It is I found out about this league through the EBT tournament, and it's kind of where they kind of took me from because I finished in the quarterfinals of the EBT tournament, which was really cool. I thought it was a really good run with mods I've never used before, such as like Mega Aerodactyl. The In addition, this league has a little different with tier system. In fact, there's instead of one, tier two, tier three, tier four, and tier five, there's tier 1A, tier 1B, tier 2A, tier 2B, tier 3A, tier 3B, tier 4, which is only just tier 4, tier 5A, and tier 5B, and then the mega tiers, of course. The reason they did this is because like certain mons are picked like in tier 1 over other mons, like um, say like Hoopa Unbound and like Victini are going to be picked over like Starmie. Like Starmie is usually picked in leagues as a tier 1. There's like Tornado. There's like the Thundies and Tapu Koko that outclass Raikou in the tier 1. So that's why they kind of did it because tier 1A has 180 points while tier 1B is worth 160 points, giving you the extra 20 points in order to get a different mon or upgrade from a tier 5A to tier 4 to tier 3B, and so on. Um, that kind of made things a little different, which is I thought was really interesting and really cool for this draft. So coming to this draft, I did in fact have a draft plan, and it was thrown out the window by the fourth pick of the draft when I had the sixth pick of the draft, getting sniped 2 picks before it was my pick, and I wanted Celesteela because, in my opinion, I think it's one of the best Pokemon to use in draft league format. But I wasn't really that upset because I grabbed a mon I was really familiar with in the first round, and this Pokemon is Megalopunny, which Mimi bring him back from the PSL season 2. Um, ability Scrappy helps out with his normal fighting stab, so that with the normal fighting stab and Scrappy ability, it nothing resists both of its stabs. So normal is Ghost is immune to normal, and steel and rock are resistant to normal. Well, Scrappy Ghost is no longer like immune to normal type attacks, and steel and rock are covered by the fighting type moves that Megalopunny gets. Well, and also in the other way, fighting fighting's Ghost is also immune to fighting, and then like there's a bunch of other typings like Fairy and Poison and Psychic that are resisted by fighting, but normal hit those moves for like neutral damage, and with Scrappy, of course, they could hit ghost types. This thing is not nothing to mess around with. It has a base 136 attack, base 135 speed. It outspeeds a lot. Has a great attack stat. Has priority. Has insane stab moves. Has the elemental punches. It gets so much on this mon, and it doesn't even have that bad defense and special defense. Although its HP is really bad with a base HP of 65. Its defense is 94 and 96. Its defenses are 94 and 96 base, which is pretty good for a Pokemon like this. So it can take a hit if it needs to. So I think that's a really good, and I'm really excited to use this Pokemon again. And so after this, I was the sixth pick in the draft. Had to wait. So had to, the drafts went down to the 12th pick, and then came back from the 12th pick to my pick, and the Pokemon I picked next, I never used it before. I never thought I was gonna use it, and I never thought it would last the second round. And when I saw this mon was still around, I just had it. I couldn't pass up on it because it fits so well with Megalopunny, with its stabs and every like it's what it does. So I'm gonna introduce you to the second Pokemon on the New York Muse, Hoopa Unbound, which is my Z captain, with the Lucifer, my Hoopa Unbound, with the ability Magician, which when I don't have an item, I could steal an item when it make contact with another Pokemon, which could be really useful. It has a typing of Psychic Dark, with the only really pain of it being Psychic Dark is the 4 times weakness to Bug, but it could probably, I believe, Hoopa Unbound based depending on what Pokemon it's up against, it could take a HP Bug with its base 130 special defense, and its attack stats are insane with a base 160 attack and base 170 special attack. Plus, it gets 2 moves, not one, but 2 moves that it can hit through protects. That's insane. And nothing really, it's really difficult to switch in on this mon. And with Megalopunny, it's just terrifying for opponents to try to prep for both of these mons. And on top of that, it's a Z captain, so that just makes it even more scarier and harder to prep for because I can run so many more sets, which I will not reveal because I'm probably going to use them this season, but we'll see. So coming into the next pick goes from 6th pick to the 1st pick, and then back to the 6th pick, and 3 picks before I pick, I get sniped again, and this time, oh no, oh, in the 3 picks away, and then 2 picks away, I get sniped on both. Um, I really wanted Sylveon with this team because it resists the bug type, gives me a Wish Passer, a baton pass user, and it gives me Wish, Heal Bell, Baton Pass, and it could be an offensive threat, and it could be a setup on. So I really wanted Sylveon for my team, but I guess it's not meant to be. As it got taken, and then another fairy type right after that, Florges was taken, which is kind of my backup fairy that I was going to use. So I decided to stick away from the fairies because most of the other fairies were kind of lower tiered. So, because like mons like Togekiss were gone already. So I decided to get a Pokemon that kind of deals with Hoopa Unbound's bug weakness in both Megalopunny and Hoopa Unbound's fairy weakness, and that Pokemon is Skarmory. Um, this thing is nothing to mess with. Um, looking at his looking at his stats, nothing really like jumps out at you until you look at its physical defense stat. Base 140 defense, which is insane. This thing could tank things for days, for any physical attack for days. Um, and it gets sturdy on top of that. Plus, it gets spikes, stealth rocks, whirlwind, defog, roost. It gets brave bird, iron head, all these types of moves, and it's steel and flying type. Make it such a difficult mon to break down. To break down because its really only weaknesses are electric and fire, and it can't be toxic unless it's from like a Salazzle. So there's no way I'd keep a Skarmory in on a Salazzle with this base 70 special defense and its weakness to fire types and Salazzle's insane special attack set. But that's besides the point. Skarmory is such a it fits my team pretty well. It gives me a ground immunity. It gives me a way to set up hazards, to remove hazards, to just be that annoying kind of Pokemon that just comes in to take those U-turns and all those and those fairy type moves that and it's sturdy, so it's really good with sturdy. And it gets weak armor, which I don't know if I'm gonna bring it around this season, but I might. So it's just another thing that my opponents have to prep for because I could go for a setup move and get hit by weak armor and get a boost in speed and now outspeed a lot of mons, so it should be interesting. So coming to my next pick, I wanted a way to just break fairy types because Skarmory is not really offensive threat unless you use like or unless you because it's really there for more defensive option or a hazard setter or remover. So I want a thing. I want a Pokemon that could hit fairy types hard. So I was looking at poison types. I wanted a Toxic Spiker and a grounded poison, so like it would absorb toxic spikes because without a grounded poison, it's really difficult to get around those toxic spikes. I've dealt with them in the past before I realized that, and I've lost games to it because of that. And that's I never want to deal with that again. So I grabbed them on that I've used before, and this is Beyonce, the Nidoqueen, with Poison Point Rivalry and Sheer Force, with this Poison Ground typing. Gives me Electric type immunity, which is really helpful for Skarmory, because Skarmory takes away the ground weakness that Nidoqueen has. In addition, the Sheer Force allows it to hit so hard, um, and surprisingly, most people don't realize this. Nidoqueen's attack stat is higher than its special attack stat, but that's for that's most people run specially offensive Nidoqueen because moves with sheer force do more damage than the attacking moves it gets. So like an Earth Power Sheer Force Life Orb does more than a Earthquake from a physical attack with Life Orb because Sheer Force gets a 1.5 boost. I believe I think it's a 1.5 boost to all moves with after effects, but it takes away the after effects. So like I believe Earth Power gives a special defense drop. It with Sheer Force, it no longer gives a special uh, defense drop, but it gives a boost in power instead. So that's really cool. This thing gets T spikes, stealth rocks. It gets all these coverage moves. It gets the elemental punches, I believe, and it just hits so hard. And it can be run physically. It can be run offensive or defensive, depending on what I want to bring it each week. So I really like this mod, and I like I hope it works well with my team. I think it will. So coming to the next pick, I really wanted this Pokemon to pair up with Megalopunny because this Pokemon just breaks walls. It breaks walls. Nothing. It's really difficult to switch on this mon, and um, I already have Coupon bound, but now I got another Pokemon that could just break things as well. And this Pokemon is Darmanitan. Damage, bring him back from the PSL Season 2 as well, with a base 148 attack with sheer force. It has a base speed of 95, which is good, but like it doesn't outspeed the base 100, but it's still good enough to be outspeed most of Mons. Its defense stats are really bad, but its HP is really good with base 105 HP. This helps with the clicking Flare Blitz because Flare Blitz gives recoil based on the opponent's HP. I believe that's taken from Flare Blitz, and the higher HP in Darmanitan, the less percent taken based off of the opponent's HP, whatever. Um, Also, it has a special attack of 30, but people don't really consider like Darmanitan is a very like frail mon, but if you get this thing down to the Zen mode, it becomes such a bulky mon. It's basically all of its stats flip, I believe. So like the attack and the speed drop to like a really low stat. I think like around like base 50ish. While its defenses, special attack and special defense rise so fast, and it makes this mon a really scary mon because you have to prepare for both physical and special attacking Darmanitan. Plus, it also gains a psychic type when it does that, when it goes down to Zen mode. So now I got Psychic Stab. I don't get hit by fighting types as much, or and it's just another threat to teams. So it's probably something that people will prepare for, but uh, it just gives them another thing to worry about. So I go into the next mon. I go for the next mon, and I was really unsure on what to do because I wanted sticky webs. I was thinking about grabbing a Araquanid, but then I decided to maybe grab. I was gonna because I wanted sticky webs for Hoopa and Bound or mons like Darmanitan and Megalopunny, which could be really cool, and some other mons I have later on. And so like I wanted sticky webs with Araquanid, but I really wanted a Pokemon that could just tank hits. I wanted a really bulky water type, and I feel like Araquanid didn't really give it as much because it didn't have a really good reliable recovery. Plus, I already have really good special defensive monsters with Nidoqueen and Hoopa Unbound. I really wanted a mixed defense Pokemon. And surprisingly, this mon was still on the board, in the sixth round. And I want to bring you Sakura Milotic. Shout out to Shady Penguin which with its abilities Marvel Scale, Competitive, and Cute Charm. Marvel Scale and Competitive are so good in Draft League format. Marvel Scale, if it gets status, its defenses rise, I believe, by 1.5 or 2, I think. I forgot exactly, but that makes it even scarier because now if you get it burned instead of toxic, leftovers does more than burn damage does, and it already has a base special defense of 125. So it's gonna be really difficult to break this Pokemon down once you get a Marvel Scale boost. It also has a special attack of 100. So don't underestimate this mon. With competitive, it can hit like a competitive. If it gets an Intimidate drop or Sticky Webs, competitive could kick in and give me a +2 in special attack, making it even scarier. So with all these new Sticky Webs Pokemon, I would really I really like would discourage like unless you want to be facing a very wall breaking Milotic, it's gonna be I would recommend not bringing that. It even has a base speed of 81, which is actually pretty decent, to be honest. So that's Milotic. So going into this next round, I decided I wanted to get my Wish Passer. So I had to decide between two mods. It wanted to be Fairy type since I already had a normal type, because that's what usually most of the Wish Passers are. They're either Water, Normal, or Fairy. And I already have Megalopunny for a normal type, and I already have Milotic for my Water type. So I wanted a Wish Passer. I wanted a Heal Beller. I wanted I wanted a Cleric, and um I wanted a Fairy type. So I looked in the draft, and I realized, oh, I could get my Sticky Webs now, and I could get a setup Sweeper. And so, because I didn't feel like I had much of a setup Sweeper really, other than really, yeah, I didn't have much of a setup Sweeper yet, and I got the best setup Sweeper in the game. So I grabbed Slurpuff, my cotton candy, with the ability Sweet Veil and Unburden. I believe Sweet Veil allows it so it can't go to sleep, I believe. But its stats don't seem all like that, but its setup options make it even scarier. Plus within Unburden, which gives a times a +2 to speed, which makes this thing really scary. So its HP is 82, attack 80, defense 86, special attack 85, special defense 75, and speed 72. Well, this Pokemon has so many ways it can be run. Although its stats aren't really that like amazing, it's like around the same like numbers, but it still can be like a huge threat because there's Belly Drum and there's like it can be run physically offensive, especially offensive. physically defensive or specially defensive. You don't know what I'm bringing each week. It gets sticky webs. Wish. It's a cleric. It gets belly drum. It gets calm mind. It gets all these types of moves that can help it out. And unburden with the boost on burden, it's really scary to prep for. So, and I really wanted to use Slurpuff. So the other mod I was considering was Aromatisse, but I felt like I didn't have enough offense on my team if I grabbed the Aromatisse, because Skarmory and Aromatisse can't really do that much damage together unless I click Brave Bird on Skarmory. So that's my Fairy type and my Fairy Steel Dragon Core, which I'm missing a dragon. So I decided to grab a dragon next round, and I realized I didn't want to deal with your U-turn, so I decided to grab Dredagon with the rough skin, which can be really annoying to deal with. It has a base 120 attack, which is very scary, and has Sheer Force and Mold Breaker. These three abilities are like three of the best abilities in the game for Draft League, because rough skin with the extra damage, because you can run this thing defensive, you can run this thing offensive with Sheer Force or Mold Breaker, which with Earth it could, like, I believe it gets Earthquake, so it can hit the Rotoms and like stuff like that. Super effective damage. Sheer Force, as we know before from Nidoqueen, does that extra damage, which could be really scary for Pokemon to deal with. Which actually, now that I think about it, gives me a third Sheer Force user on my team. Its speed is the only thing that's really lacking on this Pokemon. Its special attack is kind of bad, but it could do enough to Mons if it needs to. Base 120 attack insane, and its defense and special defense are 90s, so that's pretty good. Although that does mean that Megalopunny has more defenses than Draydagon. It has a higher HP, and with rough skin, it becomes that much bigger of a defensive mon because people don't want to take rough skin damage. So this is my dragon type. It gets a lot of coverage moves, and it gets stealth rocks as well. Give me another rocker, which is very good, and it gives me priority. So that's my dragon type, and I'm excited to use it this season. And it gives me a new speed tier and base 48. So my next mod, I decided I wanted a spinner because I have toxic spikes and I have sticky webs. So I wanted a spinner on my team, and I wanted to complete my fire, water, grass core, as I already have my Milotic and Darmanitan, and I needed my grass type. Plus, I wanted a spin blocker, so that narrows things down to one mon, and you probably already guessed what it is, and it's Delamize, my Shipwrecked. With its ability Steelworker, giving it basically another stab move, a stab typing. With Grass and Ghost already Steelworker boosts Steel type moves by 1.5, which makes it even scarier with a base 131 attack and a base 100 defense and a net base special defense of base 90. This thing could be run like a very it's a very good mon in my opinion. It has special attack of 86, but though it does have a base of stat of 40, it could be run like in various sets, but although its speed kind of stops it, it still hits so hard. So I'm very excited to use this mon. Never used it in Draft League, and I hope Shipwrecked puts in the work this season. I think it works really well with some of these mods I have on my team. It gives me another electric resist, which that helps with Skarmory. Um, it gives me another way to deal with ground types, like Zygarde and stuff like that. So I think it's a really cool mon to use, and I really like its shiny. That red shiny is so cool in my opinion. Uh, so coming in, two more rounds left, and I'm missing a speed gap from 95 to base 135. and that's a huge problem in my opinion. And I'm missing electric type. So on the board left, I believe I had I can only grab two tier fives, either tier 5A or tier 5B, whatever one I want, but it had to be in tier 5. So my last two mons are really there to complete that, like to kind of like give me that speed tier along with the electric type. And the mon I grab next is the electric type, and this mon actually is can be underestimated a lot. It has a pretty good special attack, and this Pokemon is Manectric, and it's my second Z captain. It has static, lightning rod, and minus. Tempest is such a first like a special attacking mon, and lightning rod gives me gives me another immunity to electric type moves. Plus static, if it gets hit by a physical move, it could paralyze the opponent. It has a base 105 special attack stat, which is really good. Plus with Z moves, people aren't going to be prepared for Z Manectric, but I probably will be running it this season, so it should be fun. And it has a base stat of 105 speed, so that gives me a way to kind of give me another speed tier from 95 to 105. So uh, with Darmanitan being at base 95, and now Manectric being base 105, I think that's very good for my team. So coming in my last pick, I decided to grab another Pokemon to deal with the water types that give some of my Pokemon problems, like Darmanitan and like sort of Megalopunny, but not really ish. Bulky waters. So I already have Delamise and I already have Manectric to deal with most water types. But I decided to grab another grass type. And this Pokemon kind of helps with my speed tiers as well. As long as it has Unburden, another Unburden mod, which is very scary. And this is Sceptile, who is my final Z captain. It has Shamrock, the Sceptile, has Unburden as an Overgrow as its abilities. Unburden, as we know, gives a +2 to speed after an item is being knocked off or used. Um, it has a special attack. It can be run physically or especially offensive. With a base 85 attack, it isn't that bad with C moves. It has a base special attack of 105 and a base speed of 120, which doubles with Unburden. So Shamrock is actually a very underrated Pokemon. In most leagues, I see this in Tier 4, but in this one, I see it in Tier 5, so I had to grab it. It kind of fit my team, and it gives me another way to hit water types really hard. So that's my team, and hopefully the New York Muse perform well this season, and hopefully we make it into playoffs. That's the goal for the season, to make it into playoffs, and maybe we could get a championship out of it. I don't know. There's a lot of good coaches in the league, and it's gonna be challenging. It's gonna be challenging. It's gonna be tough, and it's really gonna come down to the plays really in the prep. So hopefully this season I do well. I'm, I, this league is kind of split up into like three divisions: the Ultra Division, Dust Division, and Dawn Division. I'm in the Dawn Division with some of my friends, and hopefully we beat them as well. It could be fun, and hopefully I want to say we finish. Hopefully we finish in at least with a good record. I wanted to at least make playoffs. That's my goal for this season. At least make playoffs. It's my first season in this league, and I just want to be able to show enough that I can make playoffs. And I have done well in the playoffs in the past leagues, but I just want to make sure I make it there first. So, and that's it. And Bash out.